Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Today I have a friend, Kate, who is a caregiver here in the Philippines. In fact, she's traveled to a couple different countries being a caregiver, and going to interview her a little bit. Some of you, many of you may at some point in time require a caregiver. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that here in the Philippines. Kate,
Yes.
you went to college and you got a college degree in business.
Yeah.
And then you took additional training to become a caregiver.
Yes.
And so you've been a caregiver how long?
I've been a caregiver for almost 3 years now. So I was before I was studying 4-year course, a business management, and then after that I work in school in accounting offices, and then I work as a sales lady. I work in Taiwan as a sales marketing, and then after all I work as a factory worker, and then after all I came back here in Philippines and I decided to study as caregiver for 7 months, and then after 7 months I did experience for 3 years now until now, and then I have experiences a lot of patients, sick patients, different races, Chinese, American, baby, from childcare to elderly care.
All right.
Yeah.
And your present, the guy you're taking care of now is an American.
Actually, I was work with him since a month of November, and at his home in Mandawi, Basak, Mandawi, and then after that he's always come and go to Changhua Hospital, and then I taking care of him at the Changhua Hospital. He's an American, 79 years old, from New York, and then he married Filipino here in the Philippines, so he chooses to stay here in the Philippines than to stay in America. So he chooses also to die here in the Philippines than in America also. Yes.
And what is he? He's in the hospital for primarily pneumonia?
Yes, he's in the hospital. He's undergo, actually yesterday he's undergo operation from PEG, because he's for 1 year he's tube nose NGT nose, I don't know the words, nostril gastric tube, NGT.
No.
And then he's having an irritation on his nose. His nose is bigger than bigger because of the tube that irritate on inside of his body, and then he decided now to undergo a mild operation to make a hole on his stomach area to feed. So we feed him by milk only to his stomach area, and then he also undergo pneumonia, and then TB, tuberculosis, but he's finished already. He cured already for 6 months, and then he also undergo he's having sick with intestine, which is aneurysm, which means that he's having blood clot on his intestine area, so he can't eat a lot of food, because if he eats a lot of food, it stuck up on his intestine area and his stomach will bloated.
Okay. So how, if I were sick, or if one of these Americans or British or Australians was sick, how do they find somebody like you?
They can contact through, because in the hospital, many hospital here in Cebu, we have records. You don't know our names, but you know the numbers. Then by contact nurses station, like the nurses station in, for example, in Changhua, there's a nurses station there, and then you hired either private PDN, private caregiver, or private duty nurse.
So they call you.
Yeah, then there's our numbers there. We didn't put our names, but only numbers. And then sometimes if they contact nurse there, and then the nurse will contact to the group of caregivers, and then the group of caregivers find somebody which is available, then hired.
And a lot of times the nurses in the hospitals don't have time. The nursing is different here than it is in the USA, where nurses take care of so much. Here, a family member or a helper has to be there. A caregiver has to be there to take care of the food, to get the medicine, to go buy medicine, right?
Yes.
All that type of thing.
The maids or the
Maids, like if he needs medicine, do you have to go buy it?
Yes. If I am only the caregiver, I have to buy all of his stuff, or like diapers, underpads, medicines. I also help like for example, the wife or the relatives of the patients.
Okay. And you're planning to go to Hong Kong soon?
Yes, soon.
Right.
Soon I'll be there. I am coming soon in Hong Kong. Actually, I have my employer there. He is also 97 years old. He is a Cantonese.
Oh, and you speak Mandarin?
And I speak Mandarin, so I need to study Cantonese first. But my employer can speak English well, because his family is immigrant in Canada.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And from you don't know how long you will be staying in Hong Kong?
I know. It's in my contract. Will be at 2 years contract.
2 years there.
But the son of, I was talking to the son of my employer. He said that as long as his father live, I will be there for him.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you used an agent to get this job?
Yes, I have my agent in Hong Kong. She works in Hong Kong as domestic helper also, and when Sundays she works part-time at agency there in Hong Kong. So that agency is same as my agency too.
Okay. And some patients that you have are difficult.
Yeah.
Some caregivers are more patient. Some
That's
caregivers are stronger.
Wild.
So sometimes you have an easy job, sometimes very difficult.
That's right.
If the person is very, so you were telling me about a Japanese lady that had a spinal problem.
Japanese.
Was it or Chinese where it was so difficult to lift?
Yes, she's Chinese. She lives in actually in Crown Regency. She has spinal injury, which is an operation with. Put it in a like stainless steel on her back, and then she had also breast cancer, and then she's complicated. Need to lift her up with your own hands, to lift her up, to put it in a wheelchair. So it's hard because she's heavy. Yeah. So rather than when you have patients like stroke patients, you can still stand her even she can't move, but you can stand her 2 feet, and then you lift her up, then put it in a wheelchair. That's easy way. That's easy supposed to be done. Lift all of her body up, put in a wheelchair. It's difficult.
So sometimes you have to tell the person that you can't do the job. You need to find a different caregiver that is more able to do that type of work.
Yes, yes. You can choose whatever you want. You can find another patients. If you refuse the other patient, then you can give to other caregiver, which is some caregivers have no jobs. So if you refuse the one, then you give to her, and then you find another one. There's a lot of patients here in Cebu City. Lots of patients that is very sick.
Yeah, I know the other night you were texting friends, other caregivers, that one was having a trouble with this, and then you recommended a different caregiver for the person, type thing. So they're, like I've said in different videos, Filipinos network very, 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 very well. They know people who know people who know people. So
yeah, because we have group of caregivers, nurses, midwives here in Cebu City. We have, I think, 400 or 500 more caregivers looking and finding jobs or having jobs here in Cebu City.
And sometimes you're at the hospital. How many times you go to the person's home and do that?
Mostly maybe it's half.
About half and half?
Yeah, half, because sometimes the patients live in the hospital, sometimes patients live in the home care also. Yeah, there's a lot of home care here in Talisay, like for example Talisay in Sisters of Mary elderly care. There's a lot of patients there.
Okay.
Over there.
And the policy is that when you do a day's work, sometimes you work 12 hours, sometimes 8,
24,
sometimes 24 hours.
Yeah,
shift.
36, 48 hours.
And you get paid at the end
Yeah.
of the shift. You get paid every day.
Yes, the relative, that's our rules, like caregiver law. They pay the relatives, or the patient's relatives pay as we go.
Every day.
Every day. Like for example, I work there 48 hours, so they pay me. It depends, because sometimes patients, if patients have attachment like NGT, like PEG, like what do you call by this? Tracheostomy, and then vent, like mechanic vent, the one who give breathing inside his heart, body, or something like that. It costs, I think it costs, depends, 100 per hour, same as the nurse. Yeah.
And then how often do you have to, if you're in the hospital, how often do you have to call a nurse or a doctor, that when it becomes more than you can handle?
What do you mean?
If the person, for instance, if they're having a hard time breathing, then you call a doctor, or you call a nurse?
Yes, like for example, the patient have mechanic vent or ventilation, which is a machine that detect if your breathing is not enough. Then the machine beep, 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 that's alarm, it's emergency, so it's time for you to call to the nurse station, or the not doctor, mostly it's a nurses may come. That's why most patients that is critical is nearby the nurse station. Mostly. Nobody patients that is critical away from the nurse station, because nurse station is easy to come again quickly.
And you were telling me about your experience with an ambulance. You had a sick patient, and you were trying to get an ambulance. Where was that at? In Cebu City?
In Lapu-Lapu. I have a patient. He is from Sambuan. He is from Sambuan, and then he's having diabetic patients. Before he's having a big what do you call that? What do you call that?
Big
wounds on his leg, and then always come and go to the doctor to check it out. And then one day I was working that night shift, and then I have my partner day shift. So one day is visiting a doctor, so check up day, and then the doctor need to what do you call that?
Clean?
Not clean. Like taking out the
infection.
The infections. The remaining there is only blood, flesh blood. So that's it. And the doctor, I think it's the doctor allowed the blood will they said that the blood, it's okay if what they call that? Drain, yeah. And then they go home now for after the doctor's checkup or doctor's operation. They go home, and then one day, then the patients look at his foot area. There's a lot of blood, but they put under pad on it. There's a lot of blood, so I think he's when he look at his bloods, he's having hypoglycemia, like his body, I don't know, it comes from nervous, something like that. Yeah, and then he can't breathe, and then breathing smaller than smaller. Then when I came up, because I work at night, when I came up, I check his BP, his pulse, everything, and then getting down, and then he breathed a little bit, and then we called the ambulance, ear off or something like other ambulance. Always asking questions. What's his name? And then we always told them that he's almost died, and then you ask questions. See, and then it happens that the son of my patients he's crying and he's crying. Then just like something like, oh, my father. I told him, because your father is no more pulse anymore. So he left his father. His father is very heavy. He left his father and put it in a car, and then run, drive away, go to the hospital.
Sometimes I think I see when I walk the streets, I see lots and lots of ambulances, but sometimes, especially if you're in some areas, are very difficult, or if the ambulances are very busy, they won't have time to get to you. So it's suggested you have another plan. If you have a car, you have a neighbor,
right.
you know somebody, grab a jeepney, somehow get to the hospital if you need to get to the hospital.
That's right.
Rather than wait, unless the ambulance company can say, yes, we'll be there very fast. You just need to go to the hospital.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Maybe BC, the ambulance or the AirOff are BC. So that's right.
So of all of your jobs, you've had many jobs already, and you're only like 21 now, right?
What 21? I am 39.
Yeah. You've had many careers. You've a business degree, and you've done the work overseas. You've worked here in sales and marketing and business accounting, and now home or patient care, not customer care. What do you?
Healthcare services.
Healthcare services.
Yeah.
Which do you like the best?
Healthcare. Healthcare assistance, because actually it's my passion. Way back when I was young, all of my, when we are in school, right? Our teacher asked, what's your ambition when you're getting, before? So my ambition is to become a nurse someday. That's in my yearbook. It's in my yearbook, nurse someday. But it's a lack of financial assistance, so my parents decided to, you go to actually accounting course. So I did. So I follow my mother, what's my mother's wants, and then after that I still realized that I wanted to become a nurse. So yeah, that's why I study caregiver, because it's the same thing, almost same as in a nurse. Yeah, it's.
And you have some flexibility, because like today, this morning you found out that you work tonight.
Yes.
Right? So that's good and bad. You have some days off, but sometimes you don't know if you have the day off until middle of the day maybe. Then they say, oh, we need you.
That's right. Actually, when you are experienced enough or more experienced, like 3 years is very experienced caregiver like that. So even if you have work, or sometimes you rest for 2 days, but you work hard for another days, somebody call you, somebody text you, somebody message you. There's even like, for example, yesterday I taking my rest whole day, but even if I take a rest, somebody call me, I have a job. There's somebody in Vicente Soto yesterday. I didn't tell you. Vicente Soto. So I told her, oh, I was in Lapu-Lapu right now. I was in Newtown Beach with my friend, and like that. And then she said, oh, sayang.
What's that mean?
Like it waste, because it waste my like per salary, like that. And I said, next time. I said next time. Yeah, but not next time, because today somebody texted me also, my regular patient in Chongwa. She told me that I will work tonight. So
all right. Very good. Thank you for the interview, and I think we're gonna in the coming weeks we'll do more interviews before you go
Yeah,
to
next time
Hong Kong.
you can go also to patients
Ah,
so that you will know
Right.
there is a caregiver
Right.
and the patient, so that you know, you can
right.
video also the patient situation.
Mhm.
Mm.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.